Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast is a Christ-centered podcast. Established in 2019 and hosted weekly by Pastor Chris Busher. Addressing a host of topics such as the Great Commission, Christian discipleship, and often featuring interviews with special guests who are experts in their field. The views and events expressed on this podcast and all related materials belong solely to their author and not necessarily to the author's employer, organization, committee, or other group or individual. While all attempts are made to present accurate information, some information may become outdated over time. Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast makes every attempt to timely update any and all such information. Without further delay, here's another powerful episode of Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast. Once again, my name is Dallas Monticue, calling you here from São Paulo, Brazil. Today, we have another wonderful guest joining us, David Serero. David, how are you today?
Dallas, I'm doing amazing. I envy you for being in Brazil. I wish, I was there because it's one of my dreams to go to visit. And I'm so honored. I'm a huge fan of your podcast. And it is really an honor for me to be there. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to have you here, David. And we're going to talk about some amazing things. We've already started speaking a little bit, and I'm excited for what our audience is going to hear today.
Oh, yeah, me too. Thank you.
Before we get into who you are and a little bit about what you do, can you just tell us a little bit about your faith walk?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, I was born in Paris. I'm an opera singer. I'm a director, producer. I do movies also. And it's very interesting. I always felt that there is someone above me who told me, don't do this or do this, or who guided me and took my hand. Or when I was down, he was like, don't just hang on there. Don't worry. Just, keep the faith. Or when, he told me, David, that was not cool what you did, but you still have a chance to go back, apologize, and fix it, And I always had really, really that faith in me. So I'm Jewish, but I really go to the Bible. And in French, the word religion comes from relier, which means to link each other, and whoever you link to, I believe we are so lucky that we are all linked among each other. And the Bible is really what can unite us at the end of the day. And it's so inspiring to this day. And I don't know if it's the small gray hair that I started to have, but the more it goes and the more I become very faith oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your life as well, David. What do you do? Who are you? Where do you live?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a performer. I'm an artist. But always had in me that business aspect, the desire to build things together. So I produce a lot, but people tend to bring the producing to money, the guy who brings the money, which I started to produce shows in the park, putting my clothes around as to show the stage, and whoever was, hey, come to see a Shakespeare play for free, So I cannot say that I come from money at all. Going to the streets an hour before a show, giving free tickets. I said, please, we have nobody. Please come to sit. That's like more than 20 years ago almost. And I started to do shows when I was 16. But really what I like is really the human experience and bring people together. So I put a lot of shows, a lot of musicals. I did one recently, the 10 Commandments, which I'm sure we have the pleasure to talk about. And to tell stories. So in a way, you're gonna think it's funny, but in a way, I believe in producing. There is a lot of the Bible, wow. to bring people together and to create links among people and to create something extraordinary. That's what really, really inspires me. But I really, really genuinely love to work. I really love what I do. And there's nothing that can really stop me, and I've always been the guy who was not, who was coming with a big smile, but who was there. Like, you cannot get rid of him,
Yeah.
He's going to be there
Always
until
around.
you say yes, but he's going to wait like this, please, please. There's
And
never, any violence or anything of that genre.
You're listening to the Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast. We'll be right back after this quick word from our sponsors.
If you're looking for a comprehensive Bible app, look no further. Introducing the new Holy Bible app for Android. The Holy Bible app for Android includes the King James Version and English Standard Version. Read God's Word with no internet connection required. Get a daily Bible verse to strengthen your faith. Schedule a Bible reading plan. Listen to soothing, inspirational music as you read. Create a personalized Bible reading plan and daily journal to track your progress. Optionally, you can connect to the internet to share your thoughts and discuss the Bible with other users. The Holy Bible app allows you to access the Holy Bible wherever you are and whenever you want, and delivers everything you could want from a Bible app. And it's free. Visit the Google Play App Store and download the Holy Bible app today and bring the beauty and truth of God's Word into your everyday life.
just to emphasize this for our listeners today, you are an opera singer, a director, and a producer. I believe you're the first opera singer we've ever had on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe there's more, but they never said. So you're the first one. Congratulations, David. Thank you.
Well, Dallas, it's such an honor for me. You have no idea.
And so you said you were led into this about 16 years old. What was inspiring you to join this field of work and joining plays and musicals?
Well, I'm so grateful to God to have put in my life music, and that I knew right away from a very early age exactly what I wanted to do, because I met even people who are 25, 30, they're like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to continue. For me, I think really music started when I was like 10-year-old. And when I started, to play a little bit piano, and I had earrings problems. So I really put my ear on the piano, and that's really how it kind of started. So I'm so grateful to God that I had music in my life at the age early enough to justify all the investments. And I started first as a pianist, then I started to sing, then I moved to New York and I started to do theater, and then I discovered musicals, and then I discovered opera, and then had this career in opera, which I still do, but then I felt like, then started to do movies, TV series, and then I started to put shows together because I realized I was very good for that, to choose the right people for the right parts, and connecting with people, like going to the venue and really that person above me always sent me signs, but signs that I was able to understand, that I was able to translate. Because many times God sends you stuff and you pass through it. You don't see it, there is that old Jewish joke that you have that guy who wants to win to the Mega Million lottery, and he prays to God every day, and he does everything. He helps the people. He does only good. He goes to pray 20 times a day, and he never wins to the lottery. And one day he dies, he meets God, and he says to God, I don't understand. I prayed, I did everything you told me, but I never won the lottery. And then God told him, I wanted to help you, but you never played a dollar. So through the joke, no, but through the joke is that God can be here for you, but at some point you also have to push the door. God is really the platform I always say it's opportunity that meets preparation. So I forgot your question, Dallas, but
No, you
that's
answered it. You
when you
got
feel
it.
so good with somebody, you forget.
With another question here, so what led you into godly productions? Because people who are like you, who have this calling into production and into musicals, what led you into the godly route with this?
Well, thank you so much. Where anytime as an actor, you can play someone that makes you grow as a person, that you can take something from a character. That's really, I think, really the beauty of this profession. It's not the money or anything like that, but it's really what it is. Is that when you play, if it's to play, Peter who loves Sandra, who, you know what I mean? It's, it can be interesting, but when you can play a biblical character and also to go and search and dig into this character, you leave the production, at least that's the way I feel, you leave really richer intellectually and spiritually, so yeah, I did a lot of them. And one, I did Queen Esther, I did about I cannot even tell you, I did so many, but I also did recently the Ten Commandments, and I would love also to do more, about Jesus, about more of these kind of characters, because first of all, they are very Shakespearean, very, very Shakespearean, because it's incredible when you look at the life of someone like Jesus, who was betrayed, who was hurt, who was no one at his time, besides few people, understood his message or were willing even to hear his message. And yet he continued to forgive everyone and to give a message of love to everyone. And when you look at all the great culture, that's very important, all the culture that he left and all the great things that were accomplished 2,000 years later, after his death, even though he lives in every one of us, you're like, wow, it's, if I could have 1%, if I could get, 1% of his faith, of his spirituality, of his greatness, I wish I could, and when you study a character, you study the characterization, like you put a board and you say, oh, okay, he is this, he is that. So you discover through dialogues, through things like that. And then after, you're like, wow, I wish I could be more like that. For example, I played Shylock from The Merchant of Venice. So it's also the story of his enemy who took him the money, and et cetera, et cetera. So at that time, my ex-best friend, who I knew for 20 years, robbed every single dollar I had. So I was like starting from zero. And that role really, really helped me to kind of detach myself, because what happened is that Shylock almost becomes a murderer, becomes a criminal. And at the end, he is punished for it. He was offered 3 times the money that he was robbed, and he was like, no, I want my pound of flesh, and at the end, not only he doesn't get the money, but he is punished, and he almost dies, so I learned a lot from that. I was like, okay, David, you have to let it go, but don't become someone bad, because worst will fall to you. And indeed, I had 10 times more than came to me after, so it's so inspiring when you can play any of this character, but you have to be willing, really. It doesn't happen just by playing them. You have to be willing to take the lesson. Like, anyone can read the Bible. You even have audiobooks about it. You don't even need to read it. But but it's really up to you to take the lessons from it and to implement them within yourself. So that's something that I try to do every day,
With this, so you're talking a little bit about the 10 Commandments, and you said that you were helping with the production of this, directing this. And when you say that, are you writing the script? Are you developing the characters? You're doing all of that work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Thank you, Dallas. Well, it's yeah. So basically, I put the show from A to Z. So the particular case of that musical is that it was the most famous musical in France. It was created in the year 2000. They had over 3 million people who came to see it, but it was done in stadiums, with 200 people on stage and all of that. And 22 years later, I have this crazy idea, actually started 2 years ago, to bring it to the US, so they had tons of offers back in the days, but they never either trusted the person, they didn't find the right partners, or some people just flipped out. And I was like, I'm going to go to the bottom of it. I'm really going to make that happen. And I got, again, the blessing of Pascal Obispo, who is the composer, who wrote a musical also about Jesus. So wait for that one also to come. And two other wonderful writers, Patrice Guerrero and Lionel Florence, were also very spiritual, and another guy called Eddie Shuraki, who concepted it originally. And so I wanted to bring that musical. So basically, I redid the whole show. So I used just the music and the lyrics. And Eli Shuraki wrote. I asked him to write some dialogues, because originally there were no dialogues. It was only songs after songs. And I really Americanized it. I made it for American audience. And also I detached the piece from the big production that was in stadiums to adapt it into any theater, and I modernized it a little bit. And as really working for the actors, I really emphasized the fact that I just didn't want to see biblical figures on stage. I didn't want it to look like a school play, like Jesus arrived with his staff or anything like that. I really wanted to make it as human, quote unquote, as possible. When you have Jochebed, the mother of Moses, who put her son to the Nile, I really wanted her to express what it feels to put your son in the Nile, as a mother, not just as a biblical character, but as a mother, and the way I built the character of Shakespeare, I was going to say, of Moses, I wanted to do it really like a Shakespeare play. I mean, it took me literally about 3 months to build that character, and I cannot do it because I'm playing it and directing it. I cannot build it when I'm doing the rehearsals, because I'm too busy to direct others. So I really started a lot ahead. But I also went to study with the guy who originally created that part. I met him, and I got like 2-3 stuff from him. His name is Daniel Levi, but that also helped me on the stage. So that was really also what I wanted to show, the character of Miriam, the sister of Moses. And also that meeting that he has with God, that tree, that burning tree. So how do you illustrate that? How do you put that on stage? The sea that opens for the Hebrews to pass. How do you illustrate that on stage? So when they had the stadium and they had 4 million, I think they had like $6 million budget, which 22 years ago is like $20 million of today. So $6 million budget, and to open the sea. So they had 200 people on stage. So that was easy. But for me, I had to find a way with videos and with the acting. And as I always say, the greatest gift for a director and the greatest gift for an actor is to be poor. Because when you're poor, you become creative. Because it's so easy to, by example, once you ended the monologue, to have a light that shuts off the scene, But when you play and you don't have light, so you play in the garden like I did, or in a place, in a square where there was no lighting or nothing, then you have to act that light that is not there, It's really a lot, And I always say, you can take I wanted to show you, but I don't, you can take it with the pen, it can be a sword, it can be an umbrella, it can be a baseball bat, it can be a cane, all of it with a pen, so that is also a very, very good training. And there is a phrase that a priest once told me. I was like, I have enough of problems. I have enough. I just want to go on stage and perform. That was, when I didn't have a penny. So the venue would tell me, I'm talking like really, literally 20 years ago. The venue would tell me like a few hours before the show. So you have the stress already of the show. Would tell me a few hours before the show, David, we didn't sell enough tickets to open tonight. Wow. So and there I had to go and buy the tickets and the card wouldn't go through. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to, anyway. And I remember I spoke once with the priest, and I love to talk with old people of faith. And he told me, God sends you the great things, but he also sends you all the problems. You would think that he doesn't know about that. He knows. But he never sends you a challenge that he doesn't know that you can accomplish. He never sends you something that he doesn't know you will grow from it. And I grew so strong out of all these problems. Like I became even bigger and better. Like it's gonna sound weird, but I told you my friend who robbed me and everything. Now every day I check all my accounts every single day, because the reason why he robbed me is because I was not paying attention. He was taking care of all my finances, So, and then I started to learn about stock market, which he supposedly was doing. I started to learn, and I invested myself, and I made 10 times more, So there is nothing that you don't get. And you will get also humility. Like when I started almost to do everything from zero, that really taught me humility, because I could have gone into, the dirty circle of I don't think I would have done any drugs. I've never done any drugs. I hate that. But, just debauchery and adultery and playing around and even if it's not you who does it, the money or the image you give can influence others to do it. I call it self-awareness. Like, be careful of what you say, what you do. Sometimes you don't do anything wrong. Sometimes you don't say anything wrong. But remember how it feels in the room. Remember how people can perceive it. And first of all, what they're going to think of you, but after, how it's going to impact them. Because I always say, if 9 of your friends take drugs, you're going to be the 10th one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if 9 of your friends pray God, bring good around them, and they said, no, I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to help someone, or how can I make the day better of someone, then you're going to be the 10th one. So that's also something very, I would say, important that I try to do. So any challenges that you have always are actually an opportunity to bounce, and it always happen for a reason. And gratitude is such an important thing, because I always say, if God sees that you're not grateful, then he's going to help people who are more grateful to you. So be grateful for what you have,
a few minutes ago, you said that it was important for us to have the 10 commandments in our life to be able to live. Can you mention that a little bit more? Talk on that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Dallas. Well, yes, because men, when I say men, it's men and women, we need laws. We need laws. We need the police. We need all the people around us who, by the way, are here to protect us. And let's not forget, but we need laws, because otherwise we will kill each other, especially in an era of this, I call it the swipe era. You don't like someone, swipe left, swipe right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't even take the time. You're like, nah, or people don't like something, then they're going to block you. Like, you don't exist. Like, we are in that era.
How little do we value people to do this?
I'm so glad you're saying that. Dallas. We never do that. And I only block, the advertiser when they call you for a mattress at $200.99. So I only block these people. But also, one thing, I never threw away. I never torn a picture, or I never delete, on the paper a name or something like that, or through how you call it, a business card. Sometimes you have a name on the poster that you have to remove because the person is not performing. So it's. But what I'm saying is, we are in that era. So can you imagine if today we didn't have any laws? Like, people we have walk gun in the street and say, oh, I don't like you, boom. Oh, I don't like you, boom. Oh, I don't like, already with laws, look at all the terrible things that are happening. So imagine, so we need that. And this is why I think the musical I did of the 10 Commandments was also very educational in a way, because one of the commandments is, always do respect life without taking it from anyone. Bring all of your respect to those who gave you life. So honor your mom and your dad. Honor your parents. And don't envy others. Don't envy your neighbors. I mean, there's a better way, of saying it, but that's really what it says. And bring the good to others, and we need that. There is someone above you who is stronger than all of us combined. So who are you to think that So that's really. But yeah, we need laws, and in the show, it is perfectly well expressed. And even the movie of Cecil B. DeMille of 1956, it showed how people went in with one another, started to kill each other, etc. And then Moses came back and gave the tablets. As I always say, as a joke, is that Moses was the first one to download something from the cloud, and put it on the tablet, So.
We're really short on time here, David, but I do want to give you a little bit of time here to explain. If you could give our audience one overall thing from your time here today, or from the musical, The 10 Commandments, what do you think that would be? An overall statement here.
How many days do you have? No, I would tell you that that one thing that I really realized when I worked on the show was that the story of Moses is about 3,000 years old. And what have we learned from it? What have we learned from it is that the story of Moses and Ramses, people killing each other based on their different faith, based on their different ethnicity, based on their choices, based on they belong to a community, or they like more that music than that. We see it in football sometimes, a team against another team. So it's not so much in American football, but more in French soccer,
Brazilian.
In Brazil. Brazil are very good. But the French are better. But I'm really like, when is it going to be enough? When are we going to stop that? When people are going to stop to talk bad on people, when people are going to stop defamation, when people are going to stop killing each other, when people are going to stop robbing each other, when people are going to stop hating each other and oppressing people, whether it's in countries you look like in Iran or countries like that, where, there's no freedom for women, there's no freedom for the people over there. When all of that is going to stop, it's not just, I'm not talking about Middle East, I'm talking about even in the US, we saw what happened in Texas with that guy who killed, I think it's 19 or 20 now, kids, really. It's crazy. And what was the purpose? Like, what did he want? What did he win? Like back in the days when you had a guy who was robbing a bank, so it'd be like, okay, he did it to get the cash, so it'd be like, it's not good, but you would understand he did it for that. But today there are crimes, even I see in New York City, because I'm a strong supporter of the police and all the authorities, because they were here for me. They saved my life. So I'm very loyal to that, which is also a quality that a lot of people have lost. And when you look at Jesus, he was the most loyal of all. You know what I mean? Yeah. He was the most loyal. Moses, all these people of these prophets, they're sons of God, they always been the most loyal, and that's something to be really inspired from. But yeah, it's when is it going to stop? And you know what? We have the most frustrating is that we all have the power to stop it. Mm-hmm. We all have the power. It's like we have the button to stop any crime, any bad stuff happening, and we don't stop it. And what I wanted to tell you is that we see, I see on Twitter, like the NYPD, when they show they're looking for a criminal who did that and that. You have people now who attack an elderly person, who beat that elderly person almost to death. They don't take their wallet. They don't take anything. It's just like, I want to hurt somebody. Evil. Just evil, pure evil. And I'm like, what is going on in these people's heads? That's what I don't understand, So to connect to the bank, I was like, oh, okay, before the guy would do it, okay, it's bad, it's wrong, it's everything you want. And you never go far with other people's money, by the way. God takes you 10 times more usually after. But really today, it's really about that. That's what scares me about where we are going. So we have that power, and you think that God doesn't see it, You think that God doesn't know when you write a bad email, or when you do something wrong, or when you lie, or when you go to say bad stuff on people, or when you want to hurt someone as a revenge or anything like that. You think because you're at your home, you think he doesn't see it? Yeah. He sees everything. So that's really wanted to say. But the next thing I would tell you is that this is one of the best podcasts, one of the best discussion, and I would love to do this more and more often with you, because that's such a very important message, really.
It's such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much for your time, David.
Thank you, Dallas. God bless you. Thank you.
You've just listened to the Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast with your host, Pastor Chris Busher. Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast was recorded live in studio with final editing made before uploading. Subscribe today to Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast on iTunes or Google Play. For more fantastic daily content, visit Pastor Chris Busher online via Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Don't miss the next episode on Faith and Family Fellowship Podcast.